Brian Windhorst of ESPN, who's been red hot in breaking news this offseason, has came out with a Kevin Durant update. So I'm going to break down everything that's going on that front and see if Raptors fans should be really dialed into the KD situation at this point in the summer. Additionally, Nick Nurse discussed Pascal Siakam's development over this offseason, which should have a lot of Raptors fans excited. And as is tradition with this time of year, there's a list going around that has a few Raptors fans feel like the team is being disrespected. So lots of stuff to dive into. Without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here with the Raptors Digest, breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news. And the first thing we're discussing is a report coming from Brian Windhorst, coming out discussing the Kevin Durant trade details, the potential trade, obviously over the past couple of weeks. This has been the main focal point of just Raptors news in general because we are still tied. We're still linked to KD at this point and still looking like the favorites. And following this Brian Windhorst update, I personally think we're going to look like more and more of a favorite because he's come out and essentially broken down that the quote, "We believe the Indiana Pacers are very close to giving DeAndre Ayton an offer sheet and executing a sign-and trade. We could see something with the Pacers and Ayton as early as today." Now, this was a few hours ago. Nothing has been signed. Nothing has been confirmed just yet. But there was a little bit of confusion from myself, from a lot of reporters coming out about when the Pacers could actually offer DeAndre Ayton an offer sheet, because this has been rumored over the past few weeks. I touched on it on a video last week, and today's the day, because today officially Malcolm Brogdon is traded to the Boston Celtics. Like, that deal has officially gone down. Apparently he was on vacation, right? The deal officially went through on Saturday. However, it can essentially be vetoed until the point where the guy has actually taken his physical. And that's something, when you consider a guy that's dealt with as many injuries as Malcolm Brogdon, that's a serious part of the trade. And apparently he was on vacation, but now he's back today, Monday, and got his physical, and it all went through. So Malcolm Brogdon's officially a Celtic, and now the Indiana Pacers have the cap space to give him DeAndre Ayton an offer sheet. Now, how does this affect the KD situation? How does this affect the Toronto Raptors at all? Is because the Suns are the other sort of leader in terms of potentially acquiring Kevin Durant. They're fighting with the Toronto Raptors for offers, even though there's no bidding war, as we've covered on this channel. But without DeAndre Ayton, their offer becomes a lot less appetizing for any GM, any team around the league, because even though Ayton would have a big contract, he's still a young star, a starting center on a finals caliber team, right? He made the finals just a season ago. So, right, without Ayton in the package, you're not coming close, right? Some people I argued that Trent and OG were more valuable than Ayton and Bridges in terms of a package, but a few Suns fans came in and said I was delusional. I'm standing by that. But if you want to throw and compare Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson compared to an OG and Gary Trent Jr., you'd have to be foolish, absolute foolish, not have any clue how basketball works to say the Suns would have a better offer than the Toronto Raptors at that point. So that's sort of where we're at. We'd certainly eclipse the Suns in terms of a package we can offer if DeAndre Ayton's out of the question. So I think that's a serious development on the Toronto Raptors side. We'll see if that deal officially goes through. And more to this development, sort of fitting a video I made the weekend, right? That the Brooklyn Nets have been coming out and saying, oh, we can keep Kevin Durant, we can keep him out. And Brian Windhorst essentially reported that GMs, front offices around the NBA are following my train of thought and thinking this is just a ploy. This is just a negotiation tactic from the Brooklyn Nets. They have a lot of times where it makes sense. It'd be stupid for them not to, try all their hands and trying to get the best assets, the best packages back. But given all the time and stuff and all that, just for all the points I made in that video this weekend, the Brooklyn Nets are unlikely to be keeping Kevin Durant going to next season. I think it's almost a certainty that he will be moved, and other GMs and other teams are essentially playing by that thought process. They think the Brooklyn Nets are bluffing, and that's why the Raptors, that's why the Suns at this point, that's why the Pelicans, other rumored teams have not upped their offers for Kevin Durant. So that's major developments there on the KD front. Lots of rumors, big chunk of report coming out from Brian Windhorst. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Obviously, we're on the quest for Kevin Durant, so we'd like to give him up. We'd like to acquire KD. We're on that mission, but hopefully not giving up too many assets. Hopefully not Scottie Barnes. If you want to join us on the mission, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out big time. Like the video. Always forget to plug that sort of stuff, so helps us out big time. But the next thing we're talking about, the next thing we're discussing is Pascal taking another step. Now, Nick Nurse was on the broadcast there for all the summer league action, talking to announcers, talking to reporters. And one story that sort of has gotten picked up today, talked about, discussed amongst Raptors pages, is how Pascal Siakam has been really working on his game. Now, this is something I mentioned at the end of last season, how Pascal really hasn't had an offseason to take another step. And this was a huge it was an essential part of Pascal Siakam's NBA character where, each offseason he'd bring back something new to his game. But unfortunately, following the bubble season, it wasn't even really a season, right? That 3 months where we had off, the NBA was off due, and then we ended up going to the bubble. Pascal Siakam was unable to touch a basketball at that point. Obviously, everything was in chaos March of 2020 going into that summer, and Pascal Siakam really couldn't get much work done on his game. Then the shortened off season from the NBA bubble going right into next year, wasn't much time to really get a rhythm, get back into a flow. Siakam got a little bit out of shape, and then the following summer, right, last off season, Siakam had a shoulder injury, so it was mostly recovering, getting back to full strength, getting in full shape, recover from the 2 years of just mishaps and roasts that have been going on with Pascal. And that's where we saw Pascal really come back into his own as an all-NBA player this year. But now, obviously there's no bubble for the Raptors to go down and play in. There's no real blockers in terms of Siakam getting in the gym and growing. The Raptors just brought in his main development coach, Enrico Hines, on the Raptors staff. And Nick Nurse has raved about the amount of work Pascal is putting in. And that's something that is very encouraging as a Raptors fan, because Pascal is our lead guy. He's our number one option. Obviously, Scotty's looking to take that leap probably in a year or two or something like that. But if Siakam can get more consistent with his jump shot, his handles, especially on the offensive end, man, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge for this core roster. In his end of season interviews, he talked about how he really wants to become a really nice three-point shooter. And we saw that growth, especially 2 seasons ago, where he's taken some stuff off the dribble. But then again, 2 off seasons where he really couldn't put that extra work in, get those extra developments in his game. Now with a full off season, I expect Pascal Siakam to come back with a refined jumper, a little bit of a smoother bag, but especially the jump shot. That's where I think it's going to be nice. And from all indications, what Nick Nurse has talked about, what Pascal said in interviews, we're going to see a sniper Pascal next season. So that's my take. You heard it here first, and breakdown from all the aggregate Raptors sources. But the next thing we're talking about, the next thing we're discussing is Raptors getting disrespected? 2 question marks, because I want to talk about this because Bill Simmons of The Ringer, and gotta admit, I really enjoy listening to Bill Simmons, even though he's a Celtics homer, and everyone on this podcast knows how much I despise the Boston Celtics as a team, just because they're Raptors rival. They're in our division, and they're a successful team. So we gotta roast the sports squad. So it's annoying when Bill Simmons goes on his Celtics rants, but I enjoy listening to the guy. I like his writing and all that sort of stuff. But he came out with a list today, essentially ranking all NBA players by trade value. And few Raptors fans, including myself, thinks there's a little bit of disrespect going on, a little bit of a overlooking of Toronto Raptors players by Bill Simmons in this article. So the first guy I'll place where everyone's ranked. So Gary Trent Jr. is put as an honorable mention outside of the top 64, right? So he's an honorable mention in this list. OG's at 63. Fred VanVleet is at 60, so the 60th most valuable player via trade. Scotty Barnes is up there pretty high. He's up there. Siakam is 26 in this list. Siakam's the next guy, which, when you consider last season, I think Simmons had Siakam's one of the worst contracts in the league. So at least the respect is regained there. And Scotty Barnes is 16th on that list, over guys like Trae Young, Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram. So, not horrible list, just out of context. Looking at the ranks, you're like, okay, I could see where these rankings and age, contract, all that sort of stuff comes into account for this list. But when you look at a few of the guys that are over players, especially like OG Anunoby and Fred VanVleet, has me a little bit confused. Even Gary Trent Jr., right? Because there's a huge list of guys like Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Jalen Brunson on his new max contract, Wiggins, who arguably had one of the worst contracts in the NBA all last year, and Mikal Bridges are 2 sections, right? That's 50 through 44. Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Bane, Smart, Brunson, Wiggins, Mikal Bridges. I'm taking Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby on their current contracts over each one of those players. That's and he has them listed as sort of playoff guys, people with playoff success. I get OG hasn't had the biggest success on the biggest stages, even though he did hit that clutch shot and has been really good for the Raptors in the playoffs when he's been healthy. But Fred VanVleet literally got a finals MVP vote just 3 seasons ago. He was an all-star. The fact that Harrow, I guess the youth and all that sort of stuff might put them, but like over Marcus Smart over him, Jalen Brunson on a massive contract, Mikal Bridges over OG Anunoby, like, I don't know. I'm not vibing with that. I pulled up the stats comparing Jordan Poole to even a Gary Trent Jr. a couple weeks ago, and they're not that different, man. They're not that different. They're similar ages. Gary's a much better defender. I don't know. I think Raptors players are getting slept on. Siakam at 26, I can sort of get, given still the max contract, still the up and down play and all that sort of stuff. He is a little bit older than the rest of the Raptors guys. But, Jaylen Brown over Siakam still, I don't know. He also had Kawhi at 23, which I get with the injury situations. It's a little bit weird, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Lots of weird stuff going on with that list. I'm sure a lot of Raptors fans have seen it. Let me know what you guys think. Any disrespect going on with the Raptors players. But the final topic, the final thing we're discussing in this video is Christian Koloko. A little video. It's going semi-viral around Raptors media. It's Christian Koloko looking pretty quick. Now, I've seen this on Twitter. I've seen it on Reddit. I just want to throw it out there. And it's coming from Raptor. Ooh, I forget his name on Reddit. That's where I plucked the video from. But look at this vid. Look at this vid of Christian Koloko running down the middle of the court. Look at that speed from a 7-footer. Obviously, he didn't get the ball thrown to him. I'll replay it. Running down the middle of the floor. That's pretty quick speed for Christian Koloko running down the court. And look at him get back. For a 7-footer, 7'1" guy, being that mobile, running across, in his defensive stance, staying in front of a guard, right? That's regardless of what you want to talk about with his touch, regardless of what you want to say about how many years away he'll be from being in his prime and super playable, a guaranteed starter on this Raptors team, the fact that he's that quick, that long, and that big, that's a very good starting point for a sort of guy that's entering probably us in Miami, a top 2 NBA development team, right? NBA development destination. So I'm encouraged by Christian Koloko. I just wanted to show that blazing speed from Koloko running up the court in this video. But lots of stuff to break down. Let me know what you guys think about all this Raptors news in the comment section below. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that cool stuff. Anyways, I'm signing off. Cheers.